Hey, y'all, this is David, the Georgia photographer, and in today I want to show you what it looks like to be a content creator using Linux. The reason for this video is kind of twofold. One, I just want to share my kind of system with you, and two is that since Windows 10 is kind of coming end of life, in a month or two, then a lot of people are kind of looking at Linux a little bit, and they're wondering, can I do what I normally do with Linux? And the answer is sorta. So we're going to get into that, and I'm just going to show you the programs I use, a little bit in the program, so you can kind of get a feel for how they work, and whether they'll do what you need, because they do exactly what I need, and it all works really well for me. I really have zero problems with it now. But it was a learning experience. There's a learning curve to it. And some of the programs I once used don't work now. So I had to find alternatives. So let's just start. Okay, so the first thing I use is my raw file editing program, and that is Darktable. Right now I have a bunch of schematic diagrams that I photographed to scan in for a friend in a user forum. But if I open these are JPEGs, of course, but you can zoom in. Of course, you can see the resolution was good. I did them with a macro lens. The images weren't that great to start with, but I could pull in any raw file. It'll work with all of my raw files. I have like my ZF even, or whatever. They all work. But this allows me all the controls you see over here on the right. You got all your contrast controls. If I open the local contrast, local contrast is pretty much what Lightroom calls clarity. If I start bringing up this, you can see it makes dramatic changes if I get crazy with it. But all of these functions work really well. It's a learning curve. You have to learn how to use it. I don't use all of these things. Like, there's a lot of these. If I hit this, you can see there is a bunch of adjustments, and that's just under that one panel. And you're not obligated to use them all, of course. So I kind of weeded it down to the ones that I will normally kind of use if I'm doing different things. But this raw file editor works really well, and it'll export in all sorts of different formats. Let's see. If I go back and I pick a couple, then we got your export options over here. There's your file names. You can pick, these are all of the exportable file formats you can pick. TIFFs, PDFs, you can do whatever you want. I normally do JPEGs, or I do TIFFs out of this because the raw files coming in, and I want to turn them into something I can share or print or whatever. So those are the two formats I normally pick here. Now, once I'm done with Darktable, which is the program I like to use, I save everything in my File Explorer. Let's see here. File Explorer is called Dolphin in Ubuntu. As you can see, I've got my different folders. We'll open this up. Trenton, Georgia photo walk. This video just came out recently. You got my stills, video images. These are the edits. Yeah, if I open these, all this you can see this is not command line operated. Oh, it opened the panel in the other window. There you go. But I took this picture for my OCD friends. But you can see that you have all the functionality. You got windows. It's all clickable and all that normal stuff. You don't have to, like I said, you're not obligated to come here and do, I spelled it wrong, and then do an ls-l so you can figure out what you want to run. And you don't have to do all this. You can, and I do some stuff in the terminal, but very little. I'm learning Python. That's why you saw some stuff in there. Teaching myself, and it's slow. Back to the subject at hand. But you see, you have the standard File Explorer, and you can put it in folders, and you get it. That's the point of this part. And now my Photoshop alternative to make this thumbnail you see here. you can't just do that in like a Lightroom or whatever. You need something similar to Photoshop. Well, for me, that is GIMP. And it has been GIMP since probably 2007. I've been a user of this program for ages. Let's see. It's a non-destructive. Let me just open the ham radio template thing. This was the thumbnail from my last ham radio channel video. But you can come in here and you can turn off. You see, it's layer driven, just like, well, you can't see it because my picture's over it. Let me move myself out of the way here. There we go. Now you can see it. But you got layers that you can turn on and off, just like, you know, and they're, you can do, it's non-destructive editing now. The latest upgrade went to non-destructive editor. So when you make changes, that it adds it as a subordinate layer to the one you're working on, and that keeps you from destroying your original information. I still copy the layer because back in the day it was destructive. And yeah, and I will make a duplicate and turn it off, and you'll see that a lot of times. Like right here, you see two of the same image and they're off. That's because I was saving it, because that's a habit I formed from the old days of GIMP. But GIMP works fine. I mean, you have all the usual trappings, like I can pick stuff and drag it around or whatever, and you can change the size of it, you know, all of that's there. You can do some color adjusting. Like if I pick this, yeah, this layer selected. Okay, if I wanted to do, say, a curves adjustment, I can mess with it. You know, it's there, and you can see I've got a darker background behind the logo, so it shows up. But you know, it works. It gets me by, and I've used it so long, I'm comfortable with it, and I'm not really interested in learning something like Photoshop. I used it on Windows. It's available for Windows, Mac, and Linux, so you can have GIMP on anything, and it's free. If you're really into the Photoshop or the Adobe ethos, and you've really learned how to manipulate Photoshop and Lightroom, you're probably going to need to stay with those. And this probably isn't the solution for you. Just to tell you the truth, because there are some things that if you're a pro and you've got that built into your workflow, you might need to stick with that. You know, I just don't use those functions. I ain't going to save my changes. Next thing would be, well, I'm recording with OBS. Let's see if I can drag this whole window over. Oh boy, that creates a Inception pretty heavy hitter. I don't know if I can handle that. As you can see, it's got me and drawn this little grid. That's because I've selected me in that. If I click off of it, now I've selected the panel. And you can see my audio level from the boom mic. And if I move myself, well, if I move it, I'm going to screw it up. You can see I've got all these different functions that I can work with. There we go, put that back. But I got the camera selected right now. You know, and there's, under this version for the pick in the pick deal, I've got the screen capture for this, and then you got the audio and video, which is the camera and the microphone. But OBS works just fine. Everything about it's just like regular. There's nothing special there. I'm gonna move it back over here so it doesn't mess with my brain. So we've got file exploring, we've got photo editing, we've got what would you call that with Photoshop? Whatever that's called, some kind of creative, you know, compositing, I think it is. We've got OBS, and I'm using a capture card just plugged into a USB port. It detected it, and it just turned on. Nothing special. This microphone, let me get rid of this picture-in-picture thing. This microphone is also just plug and play. I didn't have to do anything special. It just detected it. Pretty much anything USB is going to work out of the box. I have yet to run into something that hasn't. I have a whole bunch of external drives plugged in. Like if we open this back up, let me get this open here. And we go back to picking the pick, and I move. Oh, wrong one. Grabbed the wrong one. There we go. Move me back to this corner. You can see over here on the side, Volume 5, Volume 6, Volume 4, and then Photo Book is a project that I'm working on. All of those are external hard drives I've got plugged into USB ports, and they're all available. I can just click on them and there they are, you know. And it's that simple. It just works. You just plug them in. So you don't have to worry about that. Now, let's see here. Make sure I'm on the right one. Yes, okay. The next thing would be, for me being a content creator, would be video editing. And I tried and tried and tried to get Davinci Resolve to work. I used it when I was running Windows on this computer actually, and it worked great. I love Davinci Resolve. It had a few little neat things it could do that they gave you with the free version, like the intro to my ham radio channels, the little splash screen. I made that in Resolve. That was a function you could use in there, and it worked really well. And what I use now doesn't have quite that much functionality, but it has everything that I actually use. And what that is now is called Kdenlive. Kdenlive, let me just open a project. Let's see here. Yeah, let's just use the same Morse code key video that I just launched. Here's all the footage, just like normal. And then, you know, if I've got different kinds, I separate them. And you can see I've got audio tracks as well as video tracks where I recorded separate audio to go with this, and that way I can connect them in the timeline and synchronize them. It's got a real easy synchronizing function. Like if I bring this into the timeline, what I would do is I'd right click, set that as the audio reference. It's not going to find this because it's wrong. Then I would click align audio to reference. It will find that audio in both streams, and it'll automatically line them up, and it does it better than Resolve did. It works perfectly. So if I do off-camera audio, that's how I synchronize them. You know, all the usual trimming tools and everything's in here, but you know, you have the preview panel. If I click this, you get the video with the audio overlay, you know, and then this is the edit panel. So if you click, you can see the edit, and then for both this key and the dual lever paddle. See, and it works just like it's supposed to. This has transitions. If I double click, like right here, what you see, this purple square looking thing is a transition. To add those, I just simply double click on the timeline. Let's see. Yeah, right here would probably be a better spot. Let's see if this is a different. Yeah. Now. Things are below. I did an unbox. See how I had the fade in it? It's just, that's a standard fade. You can change that function. You go into the settings and might right click on it. I don't remember. I just use it for fades. I've always done my fade to blacks on my photos in my videos a very specific way, and it works really well for me. Let's see. I'm going to show you how to do this. I've done this like this since I was using iMovie with my Mac way back at the beginning of the channel. I've always done my video fade out back to the video. Like if you insert a photo and then you fade it back to the video, this is how I do it. I'm just going to, let's see. There should be a photo in here I can use. Should be. There's always, you never ever get what you want. All right, let's see here. See this black background for photos? We drag that in, and then you need a picture. This will do. It's just a picture. All right, it's a PNG, so it'll work. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll come to the end of the line. I'll drag this photo back some, and then you grab the corner, and that allows you to fade the end of the clip. Then you do the same thing with the black, so that being so vehement on recommending. You see how I did it? You see what it done? It fades to black and then fades back to the video. Being Watch. So vehement on recommend. That's how I do that transition, and I've always done them that way, and it's always worked. Now I always add the black background, because if can I turn this one off? No, I can delete it and you can tell. No, you can't see it here. And a lot of the photos are not formatted for a video frame. So there'll be some of the background video show. So I'll drop in either a white background or a black background, depending on the video, and that fills the rest of the frame so that you don't get these edges that are moving and it's distracting, and you don't have to resize the image. You don't have to try and like push it out till it fills the frame. That way you get the whole image and you have a frame essentially to fill up the rest of the space. And it gives you that functionality so you can fade it back out later. But yeah, that's how I've always done it. No matter what program I use, I always do it the same way. And it's always worked really well for me. But everything about this is easy to use. And Kdenlive has tons of tutorials. If you need to know how to do a certain thing, just search it on YouTube. Somebody's made a tutorial. So yeah, that's how I edit my videos. Honestly, I think Kdenlive has crashed once in 2 years that I've been using it. Once. And I don't remember what I was doing to make it do that. It does have a problem. Can't easily show you, but I can explain it. If I make 4K video footage, like I shot a bunch of 4K footage with my iPhone, then I went to edit a video with it, I have learned that Kdenlive is real memory hungry. And I had a process monitor running. I'll show you. We'll let this pick up some. I had this process monitor running, and it shows you memory usage, disk usage, the CPU, and the GPU. There we go. And you can see what's going on with the system. And it's kind of neat to watch it, you know. It's just kind of, a lot of times I leave it running in this panel underneath the camera here just because it's cool. And this is what it looks like. Let's see if I can get to it. Yeah. As you can see over here where I'm waving the mouse, it's the memory usage, the RAM. You can see I'm currently using 11.5 gigabytes of 31. So I have 32 gig of RAM in this machine. And when I was editing that footage, I noticed if you did certain things with the footage that it would use more memory, but it would if you stopped, it would never give it back. Eventually, I used all the RAM up, and the machine started running super slow. Like it was just dragging along, and I couldn't get it to finish things. And I finally figured out that if I closed Kdenlive, I could save the work, close the program. It would free up all that RAM. You see, it's now something's releasing. Whatever's happening, this is going down now. And then reopen Kdenlive, it would reopen back to the same point, but it wouldn't refill all the RAM. And then I could edit until it built the RAM back up, and then I would save it, close it. It was a big headache. So eventually I learned I'm not gonna edit in 4K. The whole point was to try and do punch-ins or whatever, you know, so that you could have the camera move if you wanted it, and it just didn't work. It was a bunch of headache. If I get some more RAM, that would solve it, but I figured 32 gigabytes would be plenty. Turns out it wasn't. But this is a really cool monitor. It lets you see things in real time. I've got a few other programs, like I have the LibreOffice, which is essentially Microsoft Office but free. And then I do some stuff in the terminal, but that's because I choose to. There's no obligation. Every one of these things can be done through Windows-based operations, you know, click and drag, mouse drive, whatever you want to call it. This all works for me. I don't have to do anything special. As you can see, the video is working great. It just works. But that's what I have come to learn to use. And I'm using a distro called Ubuntu Studio. It comes preloaded with a whole bunch of functionality built in from the factory. There ain't no factory. Someone put this distro together and put in all sorts of audio programs. There's probably 25 audio manipulation programs. And there's video programs and photo editing programs, and it's all already there. You don't have to go out and install them all if you're a content creator. You just put Ubuntu Studio in, and you're off to the races. I didn't have to add, I don't think, anything. I believe it was all already here. I just started using it, and it works great. So with that, I appreciate y'all coming along, and if you want to tell me what would work better, leave me a comment and tell me. If you know that I'm doing something like really wrong with the operations, let me know in the comments. You know, what's your favorite programs that you use to like edit videos? And I know most people are going to say Lightroom for their photos. Drop your photo editing program in there. You know, your basic edits, not composite work. But yeah, I'm just curious, and we'll go from there. But I just wanted to share my kind of where I'm at with my operating system and how I do my work and all that sort of thing with you. So until next time, this is David, the Georgia photographer. I appreciate y'all sticking around until the end. And I'm going to tell you to get your camera out and go take a picture with it, all right? We'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.